All right, welcome to this explainer. Gather around, because today we're taking on the role of cosmic witnesses to a tragic, recurring fable. It's kind of like a dark, haunting bedtime story of sorts, but the thing is, it's entirely real. We're going to be looking at the forgotten performers, the entertainers who literally burned themselves out to light up our world. It's a tale of masks, of laughter, and of the profound shadows that hide just behind the curtain. Because actually, studies show professional comedians are significantly more likely to exhibit traits associated with psychological distress than the general population. So let's dive right into this.
Consider the phrase, a candle burning out while lighting others. Now, this isn't just some poetic idea. It's really the central metaphor of emotional self-sacrifice that we're going to explore today. It's the somber reality of individuals who give away absolutely all of their light, just leaving themselves in total darkness.
All right, Section 1, The Sad Clown Paradox, a Psychological Tragedy.
So to really understand this dark fable, we have to look straight at the clinical reality of it. This is known as the sad clown paradox. It's a psychological tragedy involving individuals whose very vocation, literally their entire purpose in life, is to make others happy, and yet they're completely unable to cheer themselves up. Think about the gravity of that for a second. We're talking about professional joy makers, absolute masters of lifting spirits, who are fundamentally blocked from experiencing the very happiness they generate for the rest of us.
And this brings us to a really fascinating piece of research, because, this phenomenon isn't just some modern trope. It was formally examined in a landmark 1981 psychological study of comedians and actors. The study was titled, rather chillingly, Pretend the World is Funny and Forever. It looked closely at the professional mental health of these entertainers, and it cemented the paradox as a documented reality, revealing the surprising and honestly heartbreaking fact that those who laugh the loudest often hurt the most. The core finding of that study reveals a pretty brutal contrast. On one side, you have the public duty, which is providing joy. On the other, the private experience, loneliness, and despair. So the absolute crucial point here is this painful disconnection. What the entertainer owes the crowd is completely severed from what they endure in isolation. They're basically trapped in a cycle where their outward persona is fundamentally at odds with their internal reality.
Moving on to Section 2, Shadows of the Renaissance Court, the Tale of Stanchik.
Let's travel back to the royal courts of Renaissance society for a moment. John Matejko's famous painting captures Stanchik, a renowned court jester. But think about how he's depicted here. He has literally turned his back on a festive party to sit completely alone in the darkness. He's a silent jester in this bright red costume, physically and emotionally retreating from the totally decadent celebration happening just in the very next room. He's lost in thought, drowning in deep melancholy.
The visual genius of this is incredible. The oblivious, decadent celebration of the royal court in the background is directly contrasted with the jester consumed by worry and melancholic darkness in the foreground. It's just a perfect visual representation of our dark fable. It emphasizes the heavy, crushing isolation of a man who is professionally required to be the life of an event that he cannot under any circumstances emotionally join. His public performance and his internal private sorrow are quite literally in two completely different rooms.
But you might be wondering, why is he so sad? Well, the historical context is fascinating. Jesters in Renaissance courts weren't just, goofy clowns. They faced immense political pressures. While the court party's on, Stanchik is consumed by very real, incredibly heavy political realities. He's agonizing over the future of the empire following the tragic loss of the city of Smolensk. And this shows us how massive, real-world tragedies infiltrate the supposedly joyful sanctuary of the jester. He carries the weight of an entire empire, but he's only ever allowed to show them a smile.
Which brings us to Section 3, A Desolate Self-Portrait, The Artist in the Mask.
Now here's where the painting becomes profoundly personal. The face of the jester sitting in that dark room is modeled directly after the artist, Jan Matejko himself. So Stanchik isn't just a historical record of some Renaissance fool. It's a profound mirror. It visually represents the artist's own personal isolation. Matejko literally painted himself in the fool's red clothes to show the world his own hidden vulnerability. The painting functions as a desolate self-portrait, reflecting the artist's own inner state. The creator is using the jester's mask to communicate a deep, personal melancholy to the outside world. He's basically telling us, hey, I am the one expected to entertain you with my art, but inside, I'm the one sitting in the dark.
All right, Section 4, The Cost of Borrowed Light, Emotional Labor.
Let's walk through the brutal steps of emotional labor. Step 1. Holding a vocation to make others happy. Step 2. The act of working to trigger laughter. Step 3. The cost. Suffering internally. Psychologically, this enforces a painfully deep disconnection, leading to severe emotional exhaustion, deep personalization, and absolute professional burnout. It's essentially a transaction, where the currency being spent is the entertainer's own well-being. The act of public performance constantly drains them. They are manufacturing a product, joy, that they are incapable of consuming themselves.
And now, Section 5. Modern Echoes of the Jester. The fable continues.
You see, this haunting archetype definitely didn't die in the Renaissance. Just look at the timeline. From Stanchik in the 16th century, to Edward Hopper's painting Swire Blue, to Bruce Davidson's photograph The Dwarf in the mid-20th century, and finally, straight into the 21st century with the film Joker. From the royal courts to modern cinema, the grim fable of the sad clown endures. The film Joker, for instance, is a perfect modern encapsulation of this emotional self-sacrifice. It's a grim, dark fable showing the absolutely devastating consequences of a society demanding a happy face from someone in deep internal agony.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and to this final, lingering question. If the jester truly is a candle burning out to light our world, what remains when the flame is gone? It's a really somber reality to consider the next time you find yourself laughing at a performance. What is the hidden internal state behind the mask? Thank you so much for exploring this dark fable with me. Keep questioning, and always keep looking behind the curtain.